gathering theory and stories to challenge epistemic injustice, and we're going to start with expression. We gather at the creative edge of anger to understand the fertile futurity of rage, that place of mobility to which our rage gives a range of movement, propels mad momentum.
I am the woman who quietly rages. I am the Madwoman, the mad academic who is distraught from reading about injustices brought by neoliberalism. I find myself increasingly stressed and depressed, eaten alive by the system I am studying and living in. I quietly rage because I do not know how to make my anger productive for justice.
Rage when we are cut down, told we cannot, told we do not, told we are not. Rage when we are told we should, told we are, told we must. Rage when we refuse, when we insist, when we rise with rage to face threats that feed our sense, our knowing. Rage when we proclaim that we are knowers.
My story is rooted in Rita's story. My great-grandmother Rita was institutionalized for schizophrenia. She was locked up in a straitjacket and silenced. In my family, she is treated as a stigma, a stain on my family history that no one talks about. I will never know her story, never know her rage or the ingenuity that it might have become. The more I tried to learn about Rita, the more I started to wonder how many other stories like Rita's are erased, fragmented, edited, or lost in the shadows of patriarchal, racist, sanist, ableist, and capitalist systems of oppression.
We do not concede our rage. We do not deny our gifts, hidden and unhidden, and the knowing that our rage signifies. Sacred rage teaches lessons as we devise action at the edges of our knowing, as we witness a horizon, a question of what's next.
My story, in many ways connected with Rita's, is a mix of anxiety, trauma, gut disorders, and social pressures. While some of these are genetic, I have come to realize that many of them are triggered by and a result of our changing socioeconomic and political climate. As a social activist and a scholar of neoliberalism, I feel helpless. I often feel stuck and hindered, but I have to remember the contributions that I can make, like those I made in collaborating as co-editor of this collection. Editorial work and gathering stories are both forms of political organizing.
I am always railing on the border between rage and what righteous rage seeks, justice. My creative energy and my laboring collaborate to do the work of justice. I listen to the wisdom laced in my rage and to the wisdom in others' rage. I stretch my rage. I reach out to hold the hands of yours.
As a graduate student, I face surmounting pressures to produce, to do more, to manage one more project, all the while facing a bleak job market that does not value people, especially mad people. My experiences with anxiety and trauma sometimes do shape and certainly affect the work I do in the classroom. They have helped make me empathetic. They make me a good listener and an even better educator. This is my mad feminist ingenuity at work.
I bring my rage in close and quiet so I can listen to you. I am at the edge of rage with you, ready to make something, ready to give, ready.
Mad academics are not welcome at the university. We are not welcome because we do not fit, because we care, support, challenge, and push back against patriarchal and sanist structures. We're forced to find creative ways to subvert the university's capitalist neoliberal agendas in order to survive within it and to change it. And so we must fight. We must continue to find the ingenuity in our rage, to tell our stories when they are not wanted or listened to demand our voices be heard, and to gather the stories that challenge oppressive structures.
Here is our ingenuity, our mad feminist ingenuity. Here we name the past. Here we reclaim our identities, our histories. Here we retell our stories. Here we reshape our future. At the end of the uses of anger, women responding to racism, Audre Lorde calls feminists to gather, quote, face to face beyond objectification and beyond guilt, at what could be called the edge of rage, a productive and mobile space of transition toward a, quote, future of pollinating difference and the earth to support our choices. Lord's words helped us to interpret the concept of killing rage, around which this conference was formed. Voicing our rage at the brave edge of ingenuity that Audre Lorde describes requires that we use our anger to respond to injustice by making our differences places of fertility and growth. When we learned about the theme of the conference this year, we had just finished editing a collection of academic and creative essays titled Madwomen in Social Justice Movements, Literatures, and Art, and so we went there to interpret the conference's theme. Those espousing feminist ideas have, for centuries, been called mad and angry, and feminists have histories with the word rage, histories shaped by identity. The policing of rage and the misrepresentation of rage have been used against people whose bodies have resisted white supremacy, coloniality, capitalism, and tyranny. People who have claimed rage have been killed, and people have had the rage inside themselves killed. Mad people in particular have unique relationships with rage historically. We know rage is allowed or disallowed, fostered or killed based on race and gender. The weaponizing of feminist rage, rage against misogynistic or colonial or racial injustice in particular, has led to the killing of rage within the mental health system. For example, electroconvulsive therapy, widely referred to as ECT, and psychotropic drugs have been used to kill rage in mental institutions over the last century, and before and during after that same period, a host of other torturous practices have been used to control gender and racially marginalized bodies in the name of killing rage. But what happens when we kill rage differently? When we transmute rage into new forms in order to preserve parts of it, when we tune into our rage to find our ingenuity. And considering the Madwomen through the project of our edited collection, we were able to see ingenuity on the edge of rage in action. Our project and process of co-editing helped us to see some of the productive ways that rage operates when it is connected to social justice. We also thought about the ways we can make rage function so that our rage is not used against us, or so that our rage does not hurt us. The mad feminist ingenuity of the writers in our forthcoming collection showed us that feminist rage is a rage that seeks justice and liberation. Rage can be hard to bear. It can be a heavy load to carry, but at the edge of rage is the momentum that rage gives us to creatively act for justice.
Okay, so a little bit about our collection. It brings together a community of writers who identify or have been labeled against their will as mad, because our voices have too often been excluded from the conversation. We are mad scholars, mad editors, and those whose madness and identifications as mad often threaten to put us and keep us at the periphery of the academy. We, like Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gabar and their seminal work, The Madwomen in the Attic, recognize the Madwomen as a subject worthy of literary study, but our collection pushes beyond these literary confines to explore the Madwomen in ways that consider the Madwomen as a knower and take into consideration emotional distress, disability, and varying forms of structural oppression and violence. That is, our collection centers on and validates mad subjectivities, with each chapter taking social circumstance and social justice into serious account. This book is meant to disrupt sanest academic discourse by challenging it to become more honest, practical, and liberatory. To enact such disruption, we have included creative pieces by mad activists and artists that we've named Mad Disruptions. These pieces interrupt the academic chapters and bring together the many voices that have been silenced or ignored and whose lived experiences have been deemed unvaluable forms of knowledge. As the title indicates, our collection interrogates the Madwomen in the specific areas of social justice, literature, and art. We believe that these three themes inherently overlap when discussing the subject of the Madwomen. Specifically, literature and art embody, inspire, and are forms of social justice activism. This perspective stems from two major underpinnings of our collection. One is our insistence that it is part of the field of mad studies and participates in the movement for mad liberation, and two, that it employs an autoethnographic approach that values lived experience as a form of knowledge. In this regard, we are indebted to the contributions of Sherry Moraga and Gloria Anzaldúa, whose edited collection, This Bridge Called My Back, proffers an alternative feminist epistemology, a theory of the flesh, that produces radical theorizing through the lived physical experiences of women of color. So our collection is divided into 3 sections that organize and name the political work that the essays in the collection are doing. Silencing the Madwomen, Trauma and Testimony of the Madwomen, and Redefining the Madwomen. So we thought we would spend a few minutes sharing with you one excerpt from each section, and we've chosen 1 Mad Disruption piece and 2 scholarly essays that we feel showcase Mad feminist ingenuity in our collection.
So the first excerpt that I'm going to be sharing is by Christina Foisey in her piece Madness as a New Kind of Music. Foisey writes, quote, "As a mad sound artist with familial experiences of ECT, I have engaged with Janet Frame's work to inform my artistic methodology and praxis. Through Frame and other survivor life and oral testimonies, I am able to resist psychiatric labeling and reclaim madness as a source of power and critique that led me to compose 3 sound art pieces that reflect upon mnemonic and epistemological themes in the novel, and to also highlight the continued human rights violations caused by the industrial psychiatric complex, which incarcerates and perpetuates ongoing violence."
So the next piece we have by Nicole Rising.
Nadia
Rising. Nadia Rising, sorry about that. She's talking about a play that she wrote called Liar, and this is her reflection. Liar was written entirely while in bed in the fall of 2013 during the worst mental health episode of my life so far. I was having daily panic attacks. I had gone to the ER twice within 2 weeks, and both times was sent home and told I had to wait for the next available outpatient psychiatric appointment. I was given drugs that should never have gone together. I remember clearly bringing them all to the student clinic at Fleming College, where the doctor, wide-eyed and concerned, asked me to surrender most of them. If I had taken them as prescribed in conjunction with the medications I was already on, I likely would have overdosed. I was an absolute wreck at the time. My internship was at a harm reduction site in the same building as the little theater that Liar would be produced at a few months later. It was in that otherwise uninteresting office building that I saw a poster for the Theater on King's 1-act play contest and decided I wanted to enter something. I had no idea what at the time, just that I needed to create and that I wanted it to be outside of my usual craft. And then in the last section, Kiara Sterling's really great piece, We Got a Right to Be Mad, she writes, "The Black radical women of the Combahee River Collective not only reference the pathologizing impulse of patriarchal violence, being made to feel crazy, but also further demonstrate how such an impulse stymies deeper awareness and consciousness for Black women. The systematic gaslighting employed by hegemonic forces threatens to subdue Black women, but if properly tended to, our anger can purge us of the self-doubt and sense of hopelessness. Achieving collective liberation requires conscious recognition that our humanity is routinely negated and that our responsive anger is valid and necessary for social change. Despite the continuous fodder for legitimate Black anger, the tactics deployed to negate its validity swirl in a white hegemonic impulse to pathologize and criminalize. Both of these processes work to demonize and derange, creating mad objects that must reclaim subjectivity by affirming their right to be mad."
And we're actually going to end at the introduction to our collection. Our collection's foreword, written by Herstory Writers Network founder Erica Duncan, offers the following commentary on rage. Reflecting on her experiences of second-wave feminism, she writes, quote, "I am thinking of how we mourned the women who couldn't find a place for their madness, and how we worshipped women's rage, perhaps too much sometimes, as it sometimes set us against one another and ourselves. How our interest in rage as a catalyst for change and the reshaping of what it meant to be a woman kept growing as the role of women in justice movements shifted and as separatism grew." Erica then transitions to her story, and across time from past to present, shifting away from rage, killing it on the page, and bringing us into another moment, writing, "Now I'm standing in the shower." It is here that she consults with the water and the steam as she gathers a stream of questions and eventually declares, quote, "Despite the editor's claims that this book defies order, deliberately and proudly, my reading constituted one of the most reordering and provocative journeys that I have ever taken." This is what mad feminist ingenuity at the edge of rage can do. It can defy order and reorder. We put out a call for a collection on the subject of the Madwomen, one which sought to engage the concept of feminist madness, and the ingenuity of the writers whose work responded is why we're standing here, able to tell you about this mighty collection of work. Feminist writers and mad identifying activists gathered at the edge of rage to form a collection of creative and scholarly writing that breaks disciplinary and genre norms and propels the rage of the figure of the Madwoman forward into the 21st century's, quote, back to Lord, future of pollinating difference. Thank you very much.